English time.
All
Hello,
right, let's do it.
everyone. Hi. Welcome to today we're welcoming Nathan. He's our first ever guest to our first series of interviews here at Outline Media. He is who I consider a super fan. He's had so many amazing experiences with bands all over the world, been to multiple shows. We met at Warped Tour last year in Orlando. It was such a pleasant surprise. And let's start off with him introducing himself. So Nathan, here's a spotlight.
Hey guys, first of all, thank you for having me. This is amazing. So much fun. I'm 28 years old. I'm currently living in Brazil. I lived in the US for a bit, but now I'm back home. I mean, I've been since 2019. I spent the whole pandemic here. I wish I had stayed in the US. But yeah, I go to way too many concerts. I've been to all over the world. I've been to some concert. It's just one continent that I haven't been able to go yet, which is Africa, but sometime it will happen.
Okay,
But
yeah. All right. So, maybe let's start off with what was the first show that really changed everything for you, that made you realize this is what I want to do? Like, this is the experience I want to have it over and over again.
crazy because the first experience, like I was so young. I was 10 years old and My Chemical Romance came to Brazil and they're my favorite band. They have been since 2005, I think. And once they announced they would come to Brazil in 2008, I was bugging my parents so I could go. I mean, we couldn't afford it, so I had to sell my PlayStation so we could go.
Oh.
My stepfather, he gave me the money to buy my mother's ticket because she had to go with me. Anyway, so February 19, 2008 was the day that everything changed because I had no idea you could feel something like that. You listen to the music on your own, and before you realize you're in front of the band, that's crazy. Like I feel like us people who go to a bunch of concerts, we end up taking this for granted, but it's such a privilege. And that concert changed everything for me. I mean, it took a long time before I could go to more because I was really young.
Mhm.
But as soon as I had the opportunity when I was like 15, 16, and started going to many more.
Okay, awesome. You met artists in different ways, and I mean, you're telling me this is the day that everything changed my life, and it's so fun because when I decided that I wanted to work with music, I remember it was October 3rd of 2022. It was the Swarm tour in from My
Uh-huh.
Chemical Romance. Actually, it was my first ever photography gig, so I guess we
That's
are
amazing.
bonded by My Chemical Romance.
We are. You gotta show me the pictures.
Oh yeah, I never told you this. This is so funny. This
You
is like
never
my
did.
invitation card. I tell everybody my first ever photography gig was My Chemical Romance, and I had absolutely no experience. I have a shitty
Wow.
camera that my old roommate gave it to me. I sent an email, and the girl was like, "You want to do it?" And I said, "Yeah, I want to do it."
Holy
So
fuck. What concert was it?
it was 2022 Tacoma, Seattle,
Yeah.
the Swarm
Uh-huh.
tour. It was
I was
because
gonna
of
go to that
COVID.
one.
Dude, we could have
I
even
had
had
tickets
this.
and I ended up having
I
to sell
know.
it.
Oh man, it was so crazy. It was a fun story. Maybe I'll send you the podcast later. We can yap about it
Please.
later. But yeah, I guess My Chemical Romance, they have these canonical events in our lives, I guess.
Exactly. Exactly. It just changes lives.
I know. You met artists in like the most insane ways, I would say, from airports to backstage, random cities. And what is the wildest meetup or situation that you put yourself into just trying to meet a band?
There is some online discourse about trying to meet bands, right?
Hmm.
A lot of people are very judgmental of that, and they're like, "You should respect the privacy and stuff." And I agree with that. I don't go.
Yeah.
I've never been to a hotel to try and meet a band, but if I know I'm going from one city to another
Hmm.
and I'm following a tour, they might be there. Why not get there a little earlier to try to see if something happens, right?
Yeah.
And there was this one time, I think it was the last time I saw My Cam in person.
Hmm.
I was going from a concert in Delaware. It was a festival, and the next day they would play in Florida.
Hmm.
And it was such a tight schedule, and they had to have like a private jet take their gear, but they were flying commercial. I didn't
Yeah.
know any of that. I ended up finding about that later. But it was a long trip from Delaware to the Philadelphia airport.
Yeah.
And anyway, I got there really early because the flight was really early and I couldn't miss it because it was the only one that day to Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
I swear to God, the second I entered the airport, Gerard Way's like right fucking there. There were like six different entrance doors for the terminal, but I
Yeah.
was like right in front of him, and it was kind of fucked up because he saw me
It was
first and
kind
was
of
like,
fucked
"Hi."
up.
Yeah, I don't want to come off as a stalker, of course,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But that was such a great experience. It was the last time I saw them. I really missed them, and we ended up having a long conversation. It was amazing. But there was this one other time. Also, I'm telling you stories that I didn't mean to happen, but those are funny. I
Hey,
promise.
that's the beauty of it, right? Because when you're like, let's say a meet and greet, you know you're gonna meet them. You know you're excited about it. But
Hmm.
there's a difference when you're just like, I bumped into this person in the street, and you just like, oh my God, it
Exactly.
was meant to happen, I guess, right?
Exactly. Exactly. There was this one time Fall Out Boy was in Brazil. It was last year, last August.
Yeah.
They were gonna play in Curitiba.
Yes.
And of course, Fall Out Boy is also my favorite band, kind of tied with my camp.
Yeah.
I went to Curitiba, I had never been there. I booked a hotel. When I went to breakfast, who was there? Patrick and Pete having, I don't think it was breakfast, I think it was lunch. I had
Yeah.
no idea any of that was happening, right? It
Yeah.
was just a nice hotel. Uh, I was so embarrassed because I know a lot of people try to meet bands at hotels, but I don't do
Yeah.
that. I think it's a little too much, right? Let alone in at the restaurant inside the hotel. I would never ever do that. But then I
Yeah.
found myself in that situation, and I had met them at the airport like the day before,
Mm-hmm.
so it was so awkward. And and I went to like a table that where they couldn't see me,
Yeah.
and then a friend came along and the waitress asked if we wanted to move to a different table because that one was kind of cramped. It was a little weird. And
Mm-hmm.
then she moved it to the table literally next to them. It was so fucked up. Like, I walked to the table and I was like, guys, I'm really sorry. I don't mean to be here. This is a total accident. They're like, no, it's cool. Don't worry about it. And then we sat at the table right next to them. And it was so embarrassing and awkward. Like, we were hearing them
Yeah.
talk, and I didn't want to do that. And so we
Yeah.
asked the waitress to move us again because it was so weird. Like we could hear them just having a normal conversation, and we shouldn't be seeing that kind of stuff. You know, that's way too
Yeah.
much. But it was a crazy accident.
It feels a little awkward, right? When you just go to them like, hey, like I'm a really big fan, and then I just sit next to you. Like, I don't want to look like a stalker. Like, man, I'm so sorry. Like, I mean, I don't want to be here
Oh, I
overhearing your
apologize a million
conversation.
times.
Yeah, no, I bet. It's crazy though. You seem like a big fan of My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy. What's like
Hmm.
if you really love, there are some bands I would say top tier, or I would say like bands that we like it, but we just like I wouldn't travel far for, let's say. Is
Hmm.
what's the further where is the furthest that you ever traveled for a show? Let's say the furthest continent that you ever been for a show, and which band was it?
Oh man, my cam in New Zealand. That
New
was way
Zealand.
too much.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Okay. May I ask
there's
why
some
not the
context.
States? Like, may I ask why would you go that far? Like, why would you choose that
Well,
place? There's a reason or just because?
I had just gone to a bunch of concerts in the US,
Mm-hmm.
and the US part of the tour was over. And My Cam is such a complicated band. You never know what they're up to. You
Oh
don't
yeah.
know if they're gonna keep playing. You don't know if the band is gonna break up tomorrow. So
Eventually,
they
yeah.
had finished, yeah, right? And they probably will sometime. And they had just finished the US tour, and there was a 6 month break, and they were gonna do Australia, New Zealand, and Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, what if they break up after this? I should see them one more time. And I was
Yeah.
gonna go to the Australian shows too, but I had no idea you needed a visa for Australia, and it was a hard visa to get.
Yeah.
And so when I applied, I kind of half-assed it, and I just sent whatever, and it got
Yeah.
denied because I had no idea it was gonna be a
That
real
hard. Yeah.
to get approved, right? And so I ended up getting denied, and I went to New Zealand for a single show, which ended up being like kind of a festival set, even though it
Yeah.
was not a festival. It was
Hmm.
really short. I mean, it was a crazy trip.
Yeah.
But if you look at it from the other way around, I left Auckland, New Zealand, back to Brazil with a connection in Santiago, Chile.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I got to the airport here in São Paulo, I went straight to my house to drop off my backpack in the same Uber, and I went to see Paramore here in São Paulo.
Oh my
So
God. That's a good
like
back to
straight from the
back.
airport.
Yeah.
After
Wow.
18 hours, or maybe more, of flying, I just went straight to the Paramore concert. And the crazy thing is, I got there like 2 minutes before they took the stage. Like, if anything had gone wrong, I would have missed it, but
You would have
everything worked
missed
out.
it. Oh my God. That's definitely crazy. I mean,
Way
I,
too.
I feel like, well, the farthest I traveled for a band would definitely be Orlando because I didn't have my visa for Warped Tour, right? And
Mhm.
I was meaning to ask you, I know it's not part of the script, but why did you go to the Orlando Warped Tour instead of the LA? I don't know if it's because of flights from Brazil, like is it Orlando cheaper than LA?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
much faster also.
fair.
I
Yeah.
can get to Orlando in like 8, 9 hours. And to LA, it's like a whole thing. There's just
No,
one
makes
direct flight.
sense.
And I had never been to Orlando, which is crazy. I've been to Florida a million times, but I
Hmm.
hadn't been to Orlando. And a friend of mine told me she was going,
Hmm.
and she's like, "Yeah, I have the hotel booked, and if you want to just tag along."
Hmm.
And the crazy thing is, it was my birthday, the weekend of.
Oh
I was
yeah, I
born
remember you
the
mentioned that. Yeah.
15th and the 16th, and I got to spend my birthday there. And it was like everything just came together, and I was like, "Yeah, fuck it,
Together.
I'm gonna do it." And I just had the miles to spend. I didn't have to buy anything, so
Oh, that's awesome.
everything
I
worked
bet
out.
you do have so many miles to spend
I
traveling all
just
that
ran out of
far.
them. I have to buy flights now. It's a horrible life because I ran out
No,
of the
being
money.
broke sucks, right? Damn.
I know.
Well, from one of the experiences that you directly told me, or that I took a sneak peek from your social media accounts, would be the Sleeping with Sirens guest list. And I remember I locked in that, and I was like, oh my God, I gotta ask him about that because that's really interesting. So you were once on a guest list for Sleeping with Sirens, which is every fan's dream. How did that even happen? Let's start off with that.
It's a great story. They came to Brazil in 2015 the first time, and I knew that all the bands that came through this concert promoter hung out at this specific rock bar in São Paulo.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went there, and we ended up spending 2 nights just hanging out, drinking together. It was crazy because I hadn't met many bands back then,
Yeah.
and I was just hanging out with them like normal friends. It was
Mm-hmm.
insane. And that was it. I mean, we didn't exchange contacts or anything, but a few years later, I think it was 2017, I moved to the US,
Mm-hmm.
and they were gonna play in Colorado, which is where I lived. And when I got there, their tour manager recognized me from São Paulo and was like, "You gotta come and talk to them." And he took me inside, and they somehow remembered me, and it was really nice. And then we would interact a little more on Instagram every once in a while. I was living in Chicago at this time. I decided to go to Ireland, to Dublin, to see the last concert of the Sleeping with Sirens tour, and I wanted to see 21 Pilots for the first time as well. And
Mm-hmm.
they were within like 3 days of each other. I was like, I'm gonna go to Dublin. And then I told Nick, the guitar player for Sleeping with Sirens, I was going. And I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome. And I got to the concert. I had no idea that anything was gonna happen. In the middle of the show, Callan and Nick kind of stop the things and say that they have a really dedicated fan who came from the US to be there, and they would like to dedicate two deep cuts for me. And they dedicated two chord and what was the other one? I think Parasites. It was
Uh-huh.
amazing. I had no idea. They stopped the show
Oh
to
my
dedicate a
God.
song for me.
That's so fan fiction coded, dude. You
I
don't need
know. I was
to
just
go like
there in the crowd watching them, and I don't have a single video of that because I wasn't
yeah.
expecting it, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be recording, right? And then, oh man. And after the show, I went to the backstage area. We were hanging out a bit, and Kellen and Nick told me that if I ever wanted to go to any Sleeping in Silence show, they would put me on the guest list, like for life.
Mm-hmm.
And I made great use of that in 2019. I've been to Warped Tour on the guest list, Disrupt Festival on their tour with Bring Me the Horizon. I haven't used it in a long time because the schedules didn't work,
Yeah.
but they are angels. I love them
Oh
so
no.
much.
I bet. I saw Sleeping with Sirens when they were opening for Pierce the Veil in Toronto last year. And I got a pic from Nick. That's the closest I've ever got. And I have friends who love Sleeping with Sirens back here, and they're like, oh my God, that's so nice. So I bet if they're listening right now, see guys, Nathan has had such just amazing experiences, and you guys are losers.
I know, right? I feel so sorry for y'all.
Sorry. But well, it must been amazing. I bet. I heard only good things from Kellen and from Sleeping with Sirens. They seem to be very amazing. people as people, not only as musicians, right?
Exactly.
If you could have a lifetime guest list, okay, let's not say MCR because I know you're gonna say My Chemical Romance, okay? So
Uh-huh.
if MCR is out of the question, if you could have a lifetime guest list for any of the bands, only one, which one would you choose to go forever to their shows?
Okay, I'm gonna opt out from Fall Out Boy 2 because that's too obvious. Like my
Yeah,
two favorite bands, that would be too obvious. I'm a really, really big fan of the 1975.
really,
Uh,
I love
like,
them. I love them so much.
huge
They're really
fan.
great.
Amazing. I went to Norway to see them. Oh, holy shit! I forgot about that one.
Norway.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Did you go,
And I think,
question, did you go to New
yeah,
Zealand and Norway when it was the dead of winter, or did you go like in warmer months or?
New Zealand was hot. It wasn't like crazy hot, but it
Uh-huh.
was all right. But Norway was fucking cold because
Okay.
I also went to Finland right
Yeah,
after to see the Aurora Borealis,
yeah.
and it was fucking freezing. But I love the cold, so it
No,
was
yeah.
fine.
I bet. I bet it's
But the
really hot in Brazil
75
right now,
different.
so
It's so hot in here.
bet. Okay. I would say I mean, forget VIP. I remember like I usually watch Falling Verse, the Whatnot streams, and Ronnie was selling a VIP for life for like I don't know how many thousands of dollars, and I was like, man, if I had that kind of money, I would buy it for sure. So I don't blame you. I don't blame you for all the and I mean you didn't even have to pay. You just were a nice person, and that's the best part ever because you're just being nice to them, and that's actually a lesson for all of the fans since we're ending this like part of everybody knows that you're a super fan and but you always respect the people's boundaries, you know, with the artist boundaries whenever you meet them, and that's very important, especially when
Mhm.
let's say if they're with family or if they are with the other members. I feel that they're all people at the end of the day, right? So we just have to be respectful, and if they don't want to
Mhm.
take a picture with you, I don't think people should take it to the heart. Sometimes they just want to be alone. It's nothing personal.
Uh-huh.
I would say
Exactly.
that. Would I be upset
Exactly.
would I be upset? Yes, but eventually
I would
we just
totally
have
kill
to.
myself.
Exactly. Would I kill myself? Yes, but anyway,
Imagine I go up to Gerard Way and he's like, nah, I
nah.
would die on the spot.
I mean, I would ever doubt Gerard Way, such a sweetheart, such a softball. I would never. I don't think he would ever refuse a fan photo. But I know a couple of artists that might. Anyways,
Ugh,
um,
there's always someone to do that.
for since we mentioned Warp Tour and since we are in the period of the releases and the lineup coming up, and since we met at Warp Tour, which was an iconic, um, it was huge for the scene for the scene, the alternative scene for that Warp Tour to come back last year, right? And what have been your experience with Warp Tour in like all the stops and that you've been through? What's your personal experience with the Warp Tour since your first one until like let's say last year's?
Well, I grew up listening to all my favorite bands talking about how magical Warped Tour was, and everyone had great stories about, getting bigger during the tour, and it was like this mythical institution.
Mm-hmm.
When I moved to the US in 2017, the one thing I knew I had to do was go to Warped Tour. And they had a stop in Denver. I bought the ticket, I went there, and I think I was one of the first few persons to go inside. And then, the band started playing like really early.
Yeah,
And
they
it
do.
was, I think, 12 p.m. and the band started playing. I didn't know them. But as soon as the first song started, I legit cried. And I don't ever cry. It was just too crazy to be there. I was still getting
Yeah.
used to being abroad because that was never in the cards for me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, a lot of people think that, because I go to a bunch of concerts and stuff, I come for money or stuff like that. That couldn't be farther from the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm completely self-made and it's not that. And it was crazy for me to be there and I just cried. It was crazy. And then after that, I went to the Los Angeles stop in 2017,
Mm-hmm.
2018 again, and 2019 for the last two dates because they only had two to, have the send off because it was gonna
Yeah.
be the end of Warped Tour, but things don't end forever.
It's funny because you got the end of Warp Tour and the resurgence, right? Like let's say like 30
Mhm.
years later or like you said you was the last one was 2017 and then now we're having another one in 2025, almost 10 years later, right? Yeah. What would
Mhm.
you be the main difference that you would say from your first one and the last, right? And from the
It,
resurgence now that you both
it's
attended to?
so different. It's like oil and water
Oh,
because
the water.
it used to be such a tiny thing. Like the stages
Yeah.
were small, the vendors were there were not that many, and it just got huge because it's just only a few dates. I get
Mhm.
that, but it turned into something that is way too similar to when we were young festival, which is
Yeah.
amazing. I love it,
Yes.
but that exists. It's a thing already. And Warped Tour was way too similar to that for me. So of
Mhm.
course it bears the name and the energy, but it's different because it's so much bigger. And I feel like the spirit of Warped Tour was being this kind of sketchy thing where people would just hang out at a parking lot, and now it's like a whole thing. Still amazing. It's crazy
Yeah.
to see all those bands together, but in comparison to what it used to be, it's very different. It's not better or worse. It's just very different.
I completely agree. Me and the team members from the Outline, we made recently a podcast about Warped Tour, and that's the exact same thing that we said. I never had the chance to go to old Warped Tours, but since I'm a huge Escape to Fate fan, and they've been playing for so many stops, I usually like consume those old videos and those content and those
Mhm.
interviews, and I'm like, wow, everything was so like. I'm gonna say fundo de quintal, very like a parking lot kind of style festival. There was not many vendors. You could talk to the artists way easy. Like you could bump into them. When I was at Warped Tour, I didn't even know I could even talk to the artists, and I was accidentally bumped into Craig Mabbott. I'm like, oh, yo, what's up? Like you're
Oh
here.
shit!
Derek Whibley, right, from Sum 41, he was there too, and it was thanks to Nat that I was able to see him. So I completely agree when you say like there is this difference from being something very intimate, I would say, and now it
Mhm.
has become a sensation, right? They came
Exactly.
back with the idea of, let's say, more making money than actually promoting the scene, right? Because Warp Tour was
Yeah.
basically the golden ticket for small bands to actually, reach stardom or, grow. And there were plenty of bands with long stories, including Skip the Fade, Falling Verse, a lot of other bands who made their own name by going to multiple editions of Warp Tour, right? Well, I
Definitely.
completely agree. We could talk hours about how Warp Tour has changed and how, now a lot of people don't like it now. A lot of people liked it before, but there's
Mhm.
always going to be people who enjoy it more back then and who just don't like new stuff. But I guess that's what we're going to be
Exactly.
having for the next editions, right? Like I think it's not going to go back to what it was.
It's crazy because Kevin Lyman, the organizer,
Yes.
he would give interviews saying that they wouldn't make money at all from the old way they did it.
Yeah.
It was paying the tour was paying for itself and no one was profiting. And now for sure this seems like a thing to counteract that scenario. But it's
Yeah.
still amazing. But yeah.
Yeah. Still, it is. It's still good, and we're glad that it's back. That's what we should actually
Mhm.
focus on. We're glad that it's back.
Exactly.
And the lineup for this year's spots have not been fully revealed. Do you have any predictions, guesses, or any opinions on the bands who already been announced? Um,
I just saw that Sleeping with Sirens got announced just a few hours ago. I was really happy
really,
with
I
that.
missed
Uh,
that. No way.
yeah,
Sleeping Tire's
there's only
coming.
3 days.
Haley was right. Ah, fuck, I lost on the bingo. Fuck, I lost $5. I said
Oh,
that they're not gonna
come
come. And she said,
on.
no, they will. I just lost $5. Okay, keep going. Sleeping
Come
with
on. I'll give
Sirens.
you the dog. Sorry about I feel like they could have Blink 182 finally because they had them for the 2019 send off,
Yeah,
and to have them close a night would be amazing. But Blink just said that they were not going to play any more shows this year.
yeah,
Maybe they're bullshitting, but who knows?
yeah.
Um, Having Falling in Reverse and I Did Remember as headliners last year was
And
perfect.
mhm.
It's hard to top that with bands from the scene that are not like way too big now, like Fall Out Boy, for example.
Yes.
Uh, but I would really love them to put more smaller artists on the bill.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like one of the best parts to go to festivals like this is discovering new bands while you're there. This
Yes.
happened to me in 2017. I was just walking around and I saw this band playing. It reminded me so much of Bullet's era My Chem, and I
Yeah.
fell in love with them instantly. They're called Creeper. They're from the UK,
Ooh.
and I became a huge fan of them just from seeing them right there. And I catch like the last 3 songs of their set,
Yeah.
and then they were doing a signing, and I met them right away. And that's the beauty of festivals like
Yeah.
this. You just discover a band, you meet them, you go home with a signed poster, and you become a fan. That's what
Yeah.
it's all about for me.
I was at Warped Tour last year, and I remember I was walking to, I think it was the Ghost stage, and then I saw this magical human being on the big screen. I was like, "Wait, hold on! I'm not doing anything. I'm gonna go and see." Say Six, they are a duo, and
Uh-huh.
they're very like emotional kind of rock. You have the metalcore screaming, but the other singer sings very like soft voiced, and I'm like, "Oh my
Mhm.
God, these guys are insane!" And then I just follow them. I've been following their content for a while. And then I just found out they're gonna do a show really close to Vancouver. So me and Kaylin were just like, oh my God, I really want to go to Say Six. They're great. And it's good when you catch a band when they're just like beginning, that you can see
Uh-huh.
the whole like rise to when they're good and when they're given the chance and they're in the right time at the
Exactly.
right spot, right? You can see them grow and you're just like, oh my God, I was here since the beginning,
So
right?
proud of my babies.
I know, exactly.
Then I told you about Creeper. They ended up opening for Mike Hammond in Europe. I was so
That's
sad I couldn't be there.
awesome.
That was like a dream concert for me, but I was really happy it happened to them.
I bet, yeah. So a lot more small bands. Blink 182, maybe they're bluffing. We'll get to see. And I mean, we're happy with Sleeping with Sirens. Do you think Pierce DeVille? I don't. Do you think Pierce
Oh
DeVille?
yeah, for sure. Because they haven't played last year, right?
Yeah, they have,
Ah,
because right now we're missing the headliners, right? They according to Warped Tour, they released that the Used is gonna play, and apparently it was a huge not a mistake, but it wasn't supposed to come out this early, and they in turn fucked it up. So they released the Used. They seem to be one of the headliners, right? If you look into the lineups from other festivals, let's say Incarceration or Rockville in May, which My
mhm,
Chemical Romance is playing,
mhm.
or Louder Than Life. Do you have any plans to attend to these festivals, or no, or more like show specifically artist focused?
Louder Than Life has the craziest lineup I've ever seen. Like, how
Hmm.
the fuck did that even happen? I would love to go, but my life is kind of crazy right now. I'm having so many things to do here at home, family related things, and everything that is happening is gonna be, if I go, it's gonna be on a whim. Like, I'm gonna decide two
I'm
weeks
gonna go.
before
Yeah.
going because I gotta make sure everything is taken care of here so I can go in peace.
Hmm.
I do want to go. Louder Than Life would be insane. Uh, and for sure, I'm gonna do the UK portion of the My Chem tour because
Yeah.
I just have to. And that one for sure I'm gonna do. But I'm considering the festivals too, especially Louder Than Life.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Since you love MCR, I found out through your social media that they actually have an unreleased album called Paper Kingdoms. And what do you know about this album? Because you shared one of files with all the songs. I haven't had a time to go over it, but can you talk a little bit more? How'd you find out? What are your favorite songs and what is it about?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. You know, I would talk about that for days. Well, My Chem broke up in 2013. Right
Yeah.
before that, they had recorded an album that never came out. It
Hmm.
had a really dark theme. It was about a support group for parents who had just lost their children. And to cope with that, they would imagine that they were in the woods fighting an evil witch.
Hmm.
That was the theme of the record. We knew that it was called The Paper Kingdom, but that was all we knew for so many years. I think last year, a few snippets leaked. They were watermarked by this leaker. I didn't know about any of that, but there is this whole community of people who have access to leaks and they sell them for crazy prices. And they started trying to sell this album last year. I don't know who bought it. Someone did buy it,
Yeah.
and we didn't have anything from that for a year and a half until out of nowhere, I think a month ago maybe, the whole thing leaked.
Wow.
Someone just posted the whole album. And it's crazy because we always thought it was this unfinished thing with like five or six songs. It was a
Hmm.
16 long song album, and all the songs are connected. Like they don't finish. Like one song flows into the other one,
Oh yeah.
and the
Yes.
file that leaked was like this whole 1 hour and 10 minutes long file, and
Mhm.
people had to split it. But it's a masterpiece. It's in a demo form. It's not polished, mastered, properly mixed with final vocal takes, but you could see what they were trying to do. And God, it makes me so sad it's not available on
Good.
Spotify because it would be my number one on Spotify Wrapped this year, you know.
Yeah.
But It's so good. You asked about favorite song. I think Paper Swords is amazing. Bike Thief, Dive. Shit, I could talk about that for hours.
What? No, I have to ask the question. Why do you think this album was aborted? Like let's not publish let's not finish it. Why do you think they changed their mind?
And now they actually gave up releasing the album twice. Uh, they were originally recorded in 2012. And I feel like after the Danger Days era, where everything was really happy on the outside, but they were miserable and depressed, Gerard was relapsing with alcohol. He got into this really dark mindset that they have to do something really dark so
Hmm.
they can be relevant. And I think this mindset kind of ruined things for them, which eventually led up to the band breaking up. But then when they came back in 2019, they reworked on the album. They did some more demos and stuff, which also leaked. And by the way, not only the album leaked, but a bunch of demos did too. So like
Wow.
there's over 40 songs from that era. And they decided to use the songs again for the return. And we had like little snippets on the video announcements. And the pandemic came,
Yeah.
and that made them change their plans as far as we know. We're not sure, but they
Hmm.
were gonna work on those songs again. But the
Okay.
pandemic happened. They scrapped those plans. They scrapped the theme for the tour, which was gonna be this witchy
Hmm.
stuff, and they pivoted to the Swarm tour with Foundations of Decay
Yeah.
and that whole thing. So they gave up on the album twice now.
Do you think that maybe now, like years later, with a fresh mindset, they're gonna eventually like publish it after this whole drag? I mean, this whole thing is gone from in terms of because it's a different focus, right? It's a completely different
Mhm.
thematic. Do you think they're gonna the next big thing would be bringing this album back, maybe with a revamped version?
God, I would hope so, but I just don't trust them. Especially Gerard.
Yeah.
He's so unreliable with his
It's
plans.
so
He
unreliable.
scrapped.
Oh, tell me about
He
it.
really
Tell me about lead
is.
singers with unreliability.
I know. Like, what's up with them, right? Uh, he's too critical of his own work, and
Okay.
I'm sure the other guys would be fine releasing stuff, even if it was just standalone singles and
Yeah.
doing interviews and social media content. But Gerard is a very special person who
Yeah.
likes everything to fulfill his creative vision.
He
So
has
I think the
artistic
only
direction, right, in everything that he
uh,
does. So yeah.
uh-huh. Exactly. And so I feel like the one thing that is in the way of Mike M doing stuff is
It's
Gerard
the right
himself.
way.
So I don't, I mean, I hope so. I really pray
Yeah.
something happens. But
I hope so. I really want to give it a listen, and I mean, I'm excited now, so definitely gonna give it a listen. And I mean, as somebody you currently live in Brazil, right?
Mhm.
And the scene is very different in Brazil than it is from North America. We don't have we I mean, when I was in Brazil, I just feel the same. Like we don't usually have a lot of artists coming like as they come and go at the States or even in Canada sometimes. Not that common here in Vancouver, but we do have a lot of. It's way easier to travel from them in America than from Brazil to somewhere else to see an artist, right? You have to really like it, and there's a currency difference, all those obstacles. How would you describe the alternative scene in Brazil right now? And please teach me because I have been away from Brazil in a long time. So speak as if you're like telling a somebody who's not Brazilian, because I have
Okay.
absolutely no idea.
Let me lecture you right now.
Please lecture me.
Well, actually, no, just kidding.
Actually,
Um, Brazil had a really strong scene in the 2000s, as you know,
yeah,
and that eventually faded, just like it did in the US. But the US had this resurgence, which was colossal. All the bands returned and played bigger tours than ever.
yeah,
This doesn't happen as much here in Brazil. We have two big alternative emo bands in Brazil, which are NX and Fresno.
yes,
And those are the only two actually successful ones.
mm-hmm.
NX had broken up and they returned and played stadiums. But it was a nostalgia tour. Just like My Camp, they only released one song
Yeah,
and played concerts with their old stuff. I mean, everyone loved it, But when the band was about to break up, they were playing for 300 people.
Yeah.
That's what the scene was like in 2015. The biggest band was playing the smallest concerts you can think of.
Hmm.
But when they came back with the whole nostalgia factor and the scarcity part of everything, they were selling out stadiums. And this directly reflects on the fact that it's almost impossible to, start a band here in Brazil in the alternative scene and go anywhere with it.
Yeah.
You run up a hill that is way too steep. There's a lot of competition, but no one in the competition really goes anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very small niche. And if you go to any of the alternative concerts here, you're going to see the same people. It's not something that more people are coming in and you can, tell your friends to come with. It's very niche.
Hmm.
And it's really sad because it was once great. And so many, concert promoters and bands and artists try. They really try. They still do try to, revitalize this. But it's kind of sad because we have so much potential. The
Yeah.
fans here are crazy, but somehow it just stays limited to a small crowd.
We've seen a resurgence of like big festivals. Let's say like Loserville. Bullet was in Brazil recently, Bullet for My Valentine, and they switched up
Mhm.
with the Youngblood, which was awesome. By the way, I would love to see Bullet live. Not that I don't care about Youngblood, but it's Bullet.
I
We've
don't.
seen
I
we've seen
don't.
MCR hitting Brazilian stages, which I was so mad because I was here and I couldn't
Uh-huh.
go. And we have multiple other concerts. We have Avenged headlining coming to Brazil. I did remember too, and then headlining Rock in Rio.
Mhm.
And sharing stages with Stray Kids, which is a K-pop band, and it's crazy how
Yeah.
you're seeing like so many genres who were niche kind of coming to the mainstream right now. And
Mhm.
do you think with Brazil showing to the world that international acts are successful here, they can add Brazil to their stops? Do you think I'm gonna ask this as a hopefully, but do you think Warped Tour would ever consider hitting Brazilian soil? Like either let's say in Rio or São Paulo because they have Mexico this year, right? Which
Mhm.
wasn't expected, and Montreal too. But I mean, it's still North America. Do you think they would go as far as adding a stop in South America?
Well, like you said, the festivals are happening. The bands are coming. Like, I saw all my favorite bands in Brazil for the past year since
Hmm.
Sleeping with Sirens. But like, people are showing up for
Hmm.
international shows, bigger shows. All of them sell out or mostly sell out.
Yeah.
People go to those shows. They spend money. They travel, of course, to São Paulo, Curitiba, Rio. Not as much lately, which is kind of crazy
Yeah.
because it's the touristic city. I love going to Rio to watch shows. It's a shame it's not happening as much now. And you're from Rio, right?
Yes.
So I feel like, for example, we had I Want to Be Tour. It was a success both years,
Hmm.
and it proved that people pay to go to festivals like this. I think it's a matter of concert promoters here in Brazil, such as 30 or
Yes.
even Live Nation,
Amazing.
to acquire the rights to replicate the festival here.
Hmm.
So more of a franchising thing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's possible, but I mean, there's no but. I think it's possible.
So to wrap up this part of the Brazilian scene and you and I mean you as a Brazilian fan, do you think the fans in Brazil are more intense than the North American or like any other parts in the world? And do you prefer going to shows in Brazil or in other countries?
Great question. Great question. Well, for sure, we are crazier than North American fans. I don't
Yeah.
know about the Mexican ones, but at least Americans for sure. And Europe as well. We are crazier. But I think something happened after the pandemic, and people are not as crazy as they used to be.
Okay.
Like, it's a little awkward because I went to Chile to see my camp, and it
Yeah.
was insane. The crowd was moving and throwing water in the air, and you couldn't stop for a second because everyone was pushing so hard. And here in Brazil, I feel like even with Avenged Sevenfold, which is a metal band, and
Mm-hmm.
they remember, of course, the crowds are just mild now. It's not
Mm-hmm.
as crazy as it used to be. I know in Argentina they're crazy too. But
Mm-hmm.
like, I know we were the kings of crazy fans in South
Yeah.
America, but I feel like we got a little dethroned in the past few years.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting because I haven't attended a show in Brazil in like ages. I've been to Fall Out Boy last year when I was in Brazil. Fall Out Boy, Yellow Card, and Story of the Year. It was really
I
great.
went there.
We went what? And we could have met? No way. And
Damn.
like I get that there was a lot of people in the GA area, but I wasn't
Mhm.
feeling like crowded or like out of breath or anything like that. I don't know if
Mhm.
it's because let's say I have a K-pop past where people would actually feel like, oh my God, I'm dying here, like you have to
Mhm.
give me space. Meanwhile, maybe like punk rock or alternative fans, they're more mature, I would say.
Yeah.
So there's not much of a I wanna see Jungkook so close that I'm just gonna claw my way into the
I know.
barricade, you know? But I do have to agree with you in terms of fan craziness. It surprises me to hear that it has died down a little bit, and I do think that it changes depending on the genre of the show that it's
Mhm.
going on. Right? I didn't go to say Stray Kids, but I had a lot of friends who did, and they're like the crowd was intense. You couldn't even breathe. So I think there's a little bit of this genre of music. People are more like animalistic in terms of how they behave in the GA area. And meanwhile,
Mhm.
like when I was at the barricade at work tour, I was shocked that I couldn't move peacefully. I had like two steps, like I wasn't holding on to the handrail, and people were like 5 steps behind from me. But when I was at the GA area from Pierce de Ville, it was like a K-pop show. And that's the whole
Oh.
thing, right? Because Pierce de Ville is so like popular now on TikTok and everything. So a lot of the fangirls, I'm not saying fangirls is the problem, but there's a lot of fans who are just there for the hype, right? And they're like, oh
Mhm.
my God, like I really need to be really close. I want to see Vic Frontes really close. And they start pushing and pushing to when I was in the following verse at the same spot, at the same venue, I was chilling. So I guess there's a thing with genre and who's playing, right? And what's the
Exactly.
crowd like?
And age
Unfortunately,
as well, because so many
eh,
younger fans are going to the shows now.
yes, yes.
And I do prefer going to shows in Brazil,
Do
for
you
sure.
really? Okay,
I
yeah,
do.
because all my experience with shows in Brazil were kind of like I'm dying. So I and I mean,
I love
it's
feeling like
funny
that.
because like on the outside, you know that in Brazil they always had like those get in line, put your number here, and then you can do whatever you want. This never works out. Everybody
Never.
gets mad. Like there's always
Uh-huh.
somebody trying to like patronize the other. Like I am the owner of the fan club, God
Oh,
knows what, and I'm
that's
responsible for like
you.
you're not responsible for shit. Shut the fuck up.
No, oh my God. 21 Pilots fans are the worst in that regard. God, fuck them.
Anyways, well, let's talk a little bit about your making music, right? Because you're an artist as well. A lot of people know you now as a super fan, but you also release your own single. And what made you decide doing music, like starting your own thing?
Well, a few years ago, I started a band called Coralini,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the biggest joy of my life because being on the stage was always a dream that I had never been able to fulfill. And during the pandemic, I started to learn guitar and bass.
Mm-hmm.
And when things were a little more normal, I started, playing jams with friends, and I was like, I should try to play a concert.
Mm-hmm.
And it just fell into place. I put some people together and it became this really big project that I worked so hard on. I was really proud of the record we put out. We released a live DVD at Carioca Club, which
Mm-hmm.
is a venue here in São Paulo where I
Yep.
saw Bring Me the Horizon, Sleeping with Sirens, Falling in Reverse,
Awesome.
A Day to Remember when I was a teenager. All those bands played that venue. And for me to play with my band there was out of this world. And more recently, when the band kind of drifted apart, I did, like you said, put out a solo song,
Mm-hmm.
and I was so happy with the how well it was received.
Mm-hmm.
I went to 89, which is the biggest rock radio station here in Brazil, to
Yeah.
promote the song. And I feel like making music is and playing shows is the thing that makes me the happiest in life. Like I have my normal job and I'm really happy and grateful for that, which allows me to focus on music when I want to.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no better feeling than being on stage and playing a show and writing and recording songs.
I
Jesus
imagine.
Christ, it's amazing.
So, which bands have influenced you, your sound? If you were to recommend your music for somebody else, you would say so. My band sounds like this X X and Y. But which bands would you pick for those blank spaces?
Great question. I'm a big fan of emo music, Mike and Fall Out Boy.
Mm-hmm.
But for the past few years, I've been listening much more to indie rock, some folk pop stuff, pop as well. So I think the 1975 influenced me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's this duo called Devers. There's this actress called Caitlin Dever. She was
Mm-hmm.
Abby on the Last of Us TV show. She was in a bunch of great stuff. And she has this folk pop duo with her sister. And
Oh.
it's such ethereal, calming music. And I took a lot of inspiration from that. But I mean, my solo song starts really mellow and atmospheric, and then it turns into
Mm-hmm.
like a rock ballad. So of course, then I took some inspiration from I think I would say a day to remember the
Did you
most.
remember? Awesome. Do you have any plans for in terms of your artistry this year?
For sure. I'm just now putting together a band to play a concert as a solo artist,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to be my first one. I do have some songs written, but like I said, my life is kind of crazy right now and I haven't had the
Yeah.
time to do stuff with it, but they're there. But I do want to play a show in April. Is it already next month? It's next month.
It's next month.
Um, So I gotta start working on that really hard because playing shows is my favorite thing, and I want to do that. Especially because now that I started creating content for the internet, a lot of people came to my profile and they started listening to the music and stuff. And I would love to have an experience with fans that are not there just for the band. So that should be kind of fun.
Awesome. So, I guess I'm just gonna have to do the closing with I mean, if you could relive one show, let's say, from your favorite artist, or it can be a festival or anything, which one would it be? And I'm asking that question because I know like you've been to multiple shows and I know it's really hard to pick one, but there's
Mhm.
always like that one show. It might not be the first you've ever watched, but maybe it wasn't the day that you were in a spirit and mindset that kind of was like, okay, I was meant to be here and the stars aligned and this is a moment of a lifetime. Is there one show that you wish you could see for the first time again? You know, you want to be there again.
So there's a loophole. I want to ask you if it's valid. Would I be living this concert knowing what I know now, like being my age, or would I be living it again as old as I was then?
Um, you would be your age. It's like when you read a book and the book is really good and you want to read it
Uh-huh.
again, but the second time is not as good as the first time, you know, because it's
Uh-huh.
not, you know, so that's the feeling that I'm looking for. Like, is there a show that if you were to watch it all over again and like delete the memory and then
Mm-hmm.
do it again, which one would it be?
Holy shit. In this regard, uh, I think, God, that's hard. Holy shit.
I know such a spiritual question. I'm sorry.
I know 'cause so many come to mind, but I feel like, seeing My Chem on their return concert in
Return.
2019 in
Yeah.
LA was the one thing I never thought would happen, and it did. And it was like we were talking about the crowd. That was the
Yeah.
craziest crowd I've ever been to. I almost
Wow.
broke my leg. Like I was this close to snapping my leg in half because people were pushing so much,
Hmm.
and I couldn't breathe, and people were passing out all the time. So it would be amazing to relive that show, like watching it and taking it in.
Hmm.
But also in 2008, the first My Chem show I've been to. That's why I asked you because that was gonna be my answer.
Your
If
answer,
I
yeah.
could go to that concert being as old as I am now, that would be the dream.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
What about you?
One, well, it's hard to tell because, I mean, I'm not saying I'm not gonna lie and be like, oh my God, yes, it's gonna be Falling Universe. But, it took me so long to go to Warp Tour last year. I was never meant in under normal circumstances to go because, according to the other podcast, I didn't have a US, I had a US visa, but it expired. And then for me to renew it, it would take like a whole year and I would have missed it. And I was like, oh fuck, I want to go to Warp Tour. I want to go to Warp Tour. I was crying my eyes out the whole year. And I was only able to go to Warp Tour because I ended up at the hospital.
Oh no.
Yes. I needed to take my appendix out. I woke up one day and I asked God, God, do whatever you have to do so I can go to Warp Tour. So he said, okay. And then
What's that appendix?
exactly. He just said he ripped my appendix in half, and then I ended up at the hospital. And my mother came from Brazil, so she was desperate. And then she said, you need to spend some time with your family to heal your body and mind. And then I was at the hospital bed watching Rock and Ring, watching Falling Verse playing Rock and Ring, and I was like, "Can I make my U.S. visa there?" And then she goes like, "Yeah." So I went there
Gotta
to
go
Brazil.
on
I got
spot.
my U.S. visa, and it's funny because when I returned from Brazil, I didn't go to Vancouver. Sorry, boss. I didn't go to Vancouver. I went to Toronto because it was the day of the Falling Verse concert in Toronto from the
See?
God is a Weapon tour, and I already had tickets for. So I came back from Brazil a little earlier to go to the September show from the Falling Verse one where I met Ronnie. I had the whole experience, and then I came to Vancouver with my U.S. visa, and I bought the ticket because one night I was very reluctant. My one of my previous friends was like, "There's tickets for $100." I was like, "No shit," so I bought it, and my boss wouldn't give me time off for the Warp Tour. So I talked to my mom. I said, "Oh my God, the dream's over. Like she's not gonna let me go." And then she said, "You're gonna find a way." So I did what I had to do. I lied. I on a Friday night I just said, "Okay, guys, I'll see you guys on Monday. Bye." Bullshit. I had tickets
I'm
to
so proud
Orlando.
of you. I'm
I'm so proud
so
of you.
proud of you.
I hope
That's
this
what
video
I'm here
never
for.
gets to my boss.
I
But
mean, he's gonna be happy too.
I
You're such a
know, right?
bullish person.
I know. So I just called in sick. I went to the I went like Friday night, got there in the early morning of the Saturday, got an Airbnb, went to the concert, and then on Monday I was so out of voice that I was at Universal Studios and I called her. I said, "I'm so sorry, I can't go to work today. I am so
Anyway, let's go to the roller coaster now.
Yeah, anyway, let's go to the see Mickey Mouse, you know.
uh, I'm so sick.
Okay.
Hi, Mickey. I was
Hi,
happy because
Mickey.
I got to see Shrek when I went to Universal.
That's
I
so
was so happy to meet Shrek. Oh my god.
So, to wrap this all up, I love that we're sharing all our amazing experiences here, and we both belong to the alternative community now. Me after years of K-pop diet, and you since the beginning of the ages. My last question would be, what does being part of the alternative community as an artist and as a fan mean to you? Like, what were the things that you learned, and what maybe it means as like as a lifestyle for you now?
Great question. For sure, I wouldn't be the person I am today in every single way if it wasn't for alternative music. I wouldn't have the profession that I have now. I wouldn't be speaking in English here with you right now because I learned English through translations of songs from my favorite bands,
Mm-hmm.
and that gave me the possibility to, expand my horizons, travel, work, teach English to people, and then open my translation company. And it feels like everything was meant to be because let's say if I was a really big fan of some Brazilian genre, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be as keen on English as I was. I
Yeah.
tried really hard to learn. And so that changed the course of my entire life. Like every single major thing that happened kind of goes back to that in a butterfly effect.
Mm-hmm.
So even though now I'm not as close to the alternative scene as I once was, I
Yeah.
don't dress alternative, I don't go to those parties and stuff, but I don't feel like it's about that. I feel like it's acknowledging the strength that being around people who share that love of the same music has on a person,
Mm-hmm.
because it's all about the friends you make, the connections you create, and as an artist, God, it's one of the few genres where it's okay to say anything. It's okay to be completely vulnerable
Yeah.
without thinking, oh, maybe that's too much. And I
Yeah.
feel like it's a safe space to let it all out as a therapy kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm really grateful for that.
Okay. I agree. Totally agree. I mean, as somebody who is fairly new, I would say, as myself to the alternative community, as I said, I didn't grow up with watching all these bands. I every now and then I go back to YouTube and then I said, following a verse in Circo Voador 2003. 2013, I was like, I
Uh-huh.
wasn't there. Fuck. It was such a small stage and fuck, now he's playing arenas. I missed
I
that,
know.
you know. But at the end of the day, I have friends who I've made because of my music genre, and the company Outline Media only exists because of the love of that we have for this community and for the people and everybody. Even Warp Tour is a big example of how the community is still strong, and they're still picking up when you fall down from mosh pit, and there's still crowd surfing kids, and it was a whole experience for me, and it really emulsifies, like personificates the this feeling of community that the alternative scene brings together. So I
Yeah.
totally get it. And
Just
yeah,
stay away from Twitter.
I know, right? Just stay away from Twitter. I don't even look. I don't even look at X. Like I don't even look at Twitter.
Yeah.
Especially
Don't.
from all that's been going on with everything. And I guess the best thing you could do is to focus on the good parts, right? Focus on the music that you love, the artists that you love, support the artists that you love, regardless of anything, and be
Exactly.
respectful to others people's opinions. If they're being an ass and a dickhead, just let them be. Like they're just a bitter person, and
Mhm.
well, keep thriving, right? I guess. Yeah. So Nathan, I want to thank you again for having the time to be
Mhm.
here today. And I know it's a Monday,
Thank
so like a random day, but thank you so much for sharing all your
you.
amazing stories with me and with all our followers from Outline. I truly hope to see you again soon. So if
We have
any
to.
time we have to, if you're going to LA Warp Tour, I'm gonna be there. So
Yes,
please
awesome.
feel free to hit me up, or if you're traveling any other place, I would love to meet you and actually have a coffee and an actual good interview, not just some
I
Zoom
know.
kind of thing. But
You
yeah,
deserve them.
and I'll leave you some moment to just leave your socials and to just say bye to the guys up there. So thank you. You can go ahead.
Thank you so much. You're amazing. The questions were so thoughtful. Like, when I was doing some press for my tour, for not the tour, for the song release, I got so many interviews that was like AI questions. I knew that
Mhm.
GPT wrote that shit. And I
Yeah.
just know that you took the time to make something really, really interesting, not only for the people who are going to watch this, but for us talking. So,
Mhm.
congratulations on your work. It's
Thank you.
really amazing, and I hope it goes really, really far. You deserve it. And
Yeah.
well, thank you for having me. My all my social media is Nathan Bakker,
Mm-hmm.
and you find me everywhere, even on TikTok. Not Twitter though. I don't fuck with
Not
Twitter anymore.
better.
But listen to my songs, I guess, and I'm really happy this conversation just happened, and it was such a nice surprise.
Okay, so thank you so much, everybody, for watching. This was Nathan Baker and our super fan artist. And please stay in touch with him. He's such a nice guy. Keep an eye on his profile. There's always some good stuff going on, new things coming on as an artist. And follow Outline Media. Follow our page. We're gonna have a lot of projects this year. We have a lot of projects for Warped Tour and for festivals. And thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, hit the like button, and leave a comment down below. Your favorite story, what you like most about the interview, and if you have any crazy band member or anything that you met, so drop it down below. Thank you so much. This was Katarina and Nathan, okay, at Online Media. Bye.